It is recording.
Okay. Just put this right here.
You see it counting down on the thing, that's how we know it's recording.
Okay, so we'll start in 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Chris's Classic Cinema. I'm Chris Wyatt.
And I'm Jayden Sparks.
So, this is the Season 2 finale, and we are going to be discussing another Wisconsin legend. Now, this one you probably know a lot because you see him on TV quite a bit. And he's also mainly famous for being a certain Candyman in a very popular kids movie. I am talking about the one and only Gene Wilder. Born in Milwaukee in 1933, he started his film career in the mid-60s. One of his first major roles was in the gangster movie Bonnie and Clyde.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to be talking about Bonnie and Clyde, but we are going to be discussing another really early film that was also done in the late 60s.
We're going to be looking at 4 of some of his most popular movies. One of them he even directed and wrote. He even directed and wrote the script for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Gene Wilder is a very versatile actor. He's done comedies, musicals, dramas.
Even a little bit of romance.
Oh yeah, that's true. Now, when it comes to him, he was also famous for his collaborations with Mel Brooks. And
Richard Pryor.
Yes. He was in a lot of films with Richard Pryor, like Silver Streak, Stir Crazy, Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to Gene Wilder, the first film we're going to be looking at was the first film he did with Mel Brooks, who I can't believe is still alive. He'll be 100 next year.
Mm-hmm.
And as we speak, he's working on the idea of Spaceballs 2, finally.
Yeah, filming is happening right now as we speak.
Yeah, finally.
Mm-hmm.
This was Mel Brooks' first film, and it was a surprise hit when it first came out.
It is. Now, what's the name of that movie, Chris?
Well, I am talking about the classic comedy, The Producers. In New York City, a Broadway producer teams up with an accountant to create perhaps the biggest flop in Broadway history. Not only do they plan on it flopping, but they plan on taking the money for themselves and basically going on the mother of all vacations. Now, this was a film that was made just when the Hollywood New Wave was starting. Mm-hmm. So it had some very taboo subjects.
Oh boy, did they. Oh God.
But it was it was definitely one of those movies where you're like, wow, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, there are some really, really shocking scenes. Like, even for today's standards, I would say that it's still an extremely jarring movie to watch to this day.
Yeah.
Going over the whole storyline itself is, the play itself has got a lot of imagery that is less than savory in today's standards. Even back then, that was very, very fresh after World War II. And without being around the bush, the playwright was called Springtime with Hitler.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah, and the irony is Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder were Jewish.
Yeah, and mindset. Put yourself in the mindset. It's the late '60s. It's like what, 68, 69. This movie came out.
Yeah. So it's been over 20 years since the war ended.
But still very fresh in everybody's minds. People still were. People at the time were very much recovering from the war, romanticizing it in some ways even, and. So you have to understand. So it was it was a jarring experience today, but I can't imagine how jarring it was for some people to see that sort of imagery on this big screen.
I mean, you have. The musical is basically the ultimate love letter to Hitler,
or at least that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
At least according to the original writer, who was played by
Kenneth Mars.
Kenneth Mars.
Well, let's talk about the cast.
Yeah.
You have the 2 main characters, Max Bialystock and Leo Bloom, played by Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder, and they work perfectly together.
They do work really well together. You could definitely tell this was definitely a early Gene Wilder film, and that he was still trying to find his voice in comedy. There was some parts where I felt that the commitment to some of the bits were a little bit clunky, like his first outburst that he had, like Gene Wilder had at the very beginning of the film when he had his first breakdown. You know, I felt that was a little bit forced and that it had to be spelled out a bit, but I think that was part of the comedy of it.
Yeah, and he also has this like blanket that he uses as a comfort. It's straight out of like the Charlie Brown comics. With that one character.
Yeah.
And you have Zero Mostel as the manipulator. He wants he wants the play to flop so that they can keep the money for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he is willing to even seduce himself with a bunch of old women to be shareholders of the play. And next thing you know, they find out that they are giving away 20,000% of shares
to the playwright that's supposed to flop, because because at that point, if the movie flop, like if the playwright flops, on Broadway, like there is no money to go around, there is no profit splitting. So that was why it was such a good scam, supposedly. Yeah. The problem was, it was so bad it was good, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, yep. Courtesy of this playwright himself, played by Kenneth Mars, who plays a former Nazi who is basically
hiding out in New York City and just one with the birds.
He pretends to be a loyal American, but you know that deep down he's basically the ultimate kraut.
Yes.
And he is just hilarious.
He is. Not to mention the person who plays the Führer himself.
You have Dick Shawn as LSD, the guy who's chosen to play Hitler in the musical, and he is basically the ultimate hippie.
Just blitzed out of his mind the entire time.
He's singing love songs about flowers. It might as well be the kind of song you hear at Woodstock at that time.
No, those were good songs. Those were good.
And then you have the director there's basically no subtlety whatsoever of him being gay. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
And also a drag queen.
Yes. You have him, first time we see him, he's in this very elaborate dress. He's going to a choreographer's ball as the Grand Duchess Anastasia, complete with a wig.
I think that they absolutely rocked it. I did. Personally, fantastic choice.
And you can tell that his manager is also his lover.
Oh, yeah. Manager? Assistant? I feel like it's more of an assistant, isn't it?
Yeah. And the only other big character would be the Swedish secretary that
was not a secretary.
Bialystok and Bloom hire, and she's basically pardon my expression, the boy toy.
Wow, of all the terms, that caught me off guard.
Well, he did say that he was going to buy a toy.
Okay. Okay. That one caught me. Good on you, that got me.
Yeah. If anything, she's just there because she's
eye
sexy.
Candy. She's there for eye candy. Yeah. Nothing else. Especially for music.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the production, because when it comes to this film, it was basically the ultimate satire of Broadway.
Oh yeah.
So you have full shots of New York City on film locations like Central Park, Lincoln Center.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the Great White Way, you just see like how much they are going through just to try to find the worst play ever. One of them is basically an adaptation of Kafka's The Metamorphosis, and they're like, it's too good.
Mm-hmm. It's too good.
Yeah, and it's just, man.
Okay, you know what? This does go, I mean, just in case this goes without saying, we're going to say it anyways. Don't let your kids watch this. This is what would be known as a rated R film, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So,
I mean, it doesn't have any nudity or anything, but it has a lot of cussing.
It has a lot of cussing, and while there is no nudity, let's face it.
The subject matter is through the roof.
And let's face it. Yeah.
I mean, the musical sequence alone. I mean, the song was written by Mel Brooks himself.
It was so catchy.
That's what makes it crazy.
It was catchy.
You have
it was
this,
good.
You have this song that basically glorifies Nazi Germany, yet it's still such a catchy song, which was written by a Jew.
Yeah, it was. And not only that, but just a lot of the outfits that were chosen were
I mean, you have these very elaborate uniforms. You have people doing choreography, complete with a Busby Berkeley shot of them doing a swastika.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I mean...
It's bonkers. It's just so out there.
And you just see the audience, they're like, oh my God, what are we watching?
They only then realized it was satire.
Well,
LSD
spoiler alert, they think it's satire because of LSD playing a very stoned Hitler.
Yeah, exactly. So like everybody thought
yeah,
it was serious.
and apparently the girl who plays his girlfriend Eva, that was Renee Taylor, who is very famous for playing Sylvia Fine in the 90s sitcom The Nanny.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. The movie ends up being the show ends up being a massive success.
And when it comes to Bialystok and Boom, they're like, we're ruined. We got to do something, or else we're going to end up in jail for tax fraud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like the Joker in Batman. You can't. He may want to spread chaos, but he cannot. But he crosses the line when it comes to the IRS.
That's how that guy Al Capone was the IRS. Every single government entity tried to arrest Al Capone, but it ended up being the IRS that got him at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to this film, I mean, it's just crazy.
It is.
It was a hit at the box office, and it ended up earning 2 Oscar nominations, including Best Supporting Actor Gene Wilder, one of only 2 nominations he received during his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
The other was for Best Adapted Screenplay for another Mel Brooks film, one we reviewed before, the horror comedy Young Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Jack Albertson, but Mel Brooks ended up winning the only competitive Oscar of his entire career for Best Original Screenplay. It famously beat 2001: A Space Odyssey for that Oscar.
Yeah.
And additionally, Zero Mostel was nominated for a Golden Globe as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was named. This film was placed in the American Film Institute as one of the top greatest comedies of all time, and even Springtime for Hitler was named one of the top 100 greatest songs in film,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy.
Yeah, this whole movie breaks a lot of different stigmas. I mean, it breaks the stigma of LGBT, it breaks the stigma of the Hays Code. It basically looked at the Hays Code and went, ha!
Yeah, and it's like it is still gone to this day, courtesy of Mel Brooks actually adapting it into a full stage Broadway musical, which won a record 12 Tonys, including Best Musical.
Jesus. Okay.
I mean, imagine the producers as a Broadway musical. I've seen footage of it. It is actually very hilarious.
Yeah.
It's still as taboo it's still as way out of league as the movie when it comes to taboo subjects. But
yeah.
But it's definitely a lot of fun.
I mean,
I know there was a film version of the musical made back in 2005 with Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick, and Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it is a dark comedy, isn't it? It's a dark satirical comedy. And there were movies back in the 30s and 20s that also toyed with dark comedy. And there's also a lot of movies before this that toyed with satire. But this was probably, at least in my opinion, the first time that in a long time that all that was tied together and that satire in the cinema was back on the menu in a big way.
Yeah. Now when it comes to this movie, I'll honestly say that it's my favorite Mel Brooks film, so I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
I'm actually a bit surprised. This one was a little bit difficult for me because it is a very taboo film, and it almost works against it. And I do think that it was a fairly early Gene Wilder performance. You could tell it was a more earlier Gene Wilder performance that he hasn't quite gotten to his own yet. So I'm going to be giving it a 3.5 out of 5. It's still a very good movie, and I would recommend it if you are looking for like a good satirical film that just hasn't crossed your mind yet. If you want to see where like Spaceballs got its origins and all that, this was a good starting point.
Oh yeah, I'd say Spaceballs is my second favorite Mel Brooks movie,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see the sequel.
Yeah.
And the fact that Mel Brooks is still alive, I mean, he'll be 100 next June.
Yeah, so that's the review of the producers. What's
Yeah.
next?
Well, we're going to be looking at perhaps Gene Wilder's most iconic film role. Now, this is also one of the most popular family movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see it all the time on TV. It was really popular when it first came out on video and DVD.
Came out on Laserdisc too, so basically has been on every single movie format under the sun.
But surprisingly, it wasn't that popular when it first came out.
I wonder why.
Now, this film, I'm talking about the film that made him the iconic Candyman, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. A boy named Charlie Bucket, who lives with a poor family, finds himself winning a golden ticket to the ultimate tour of the biggest chocolate factory in the world, run by the mysterious Mr. Willy Wonka. Along with him are 4 other kids who end up learning the consequences and rewards of temptation and humbleness.
They're brats.
Yes. Now this movie is one of my all-time favorites. I have watched this movie as far back as when I was in preschool, and it's still such a feel-good movie in my book.
I mean, when we're talking about a children's film, we've talked about a few children's films in the past that have had great impacts, and this is another one where, in the course of the last 50 years, what kid hasn't seen this movie?
This or the Tim Burton version with Johnny Depp.
Well, I think the Tim Burton version, you have to talk like last 20 years, but in terms of the last 50 years?
Yes, that is true. I mean, when it comes to this film, I mean, you can't imagine Gene Wilder without thinking of Willy Wonka. It's that iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Complete with the top hat, the suit, the cane.
Oh, yeah.
The famous somersault that he improvised.
Yeah.
When he first entered.
That's the thing. Like that's like one of the most interesting things about the movie is the amount of secrecy and also improvisation that was going about. Because there was only 2 people when that scene was shot that knew that was going to happen. Only 2 people knew how Willy Wonka was going to be entering. And that was Gene Wilder himself and the director.
Mel Stewart. Now this film was actually written by the author of the original book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Roald Dahl. But he actually hated this movie because he thought it wasn't a good adaptation. Heck, even his wife ended up being an executive producer for the Tim Burton version, and she thought that was better, although Gene Wilder thought it wasn't.
Right, but either way, like going back to what I was going through, like the amount, like only 2, I mean, you can look at the interviews that Gene Wilder did about that scene, because he tells a fantastic anecdote about how it was planned out, way better than what we can do. And another interesting thing was that when it comes to the showing of the Grand Chocolate Room, you know, like the original chocolate room where everything was edible, that too was also kept in stark secrecy.
That's the first reactions of all the people.
Yeah, that's why they wanted to keep it as genuine as possible. And even the ending, the thing is, like, Charlie Bucket, like the actor who played
Well,
him,
let's talk about the cast first, because we haven't done that yet.
Sure.
First, you have Gene Wilder as the Candyman himself, Willy Wonka, and he just knocks it out of the park. He is such an enigma. You never know what's going on in his head, but he is by far one of the most iconic characters I can think of. Mm-hmm. And plus he always knows how to do a good quote when he needs it. Mm-hmm. I mean, he quotes anything from Oscar Wilde to Shakespeare, even French and German. Mm-hmm. and then you have the boy Charlie Bucket, played by Peter Ostrom in the only film role of his entire career. Mm-hmm. And considering it's his only film role, he does a very believable job as this boy who has big dreams. He lives in a lower class family. His house is basically run down. He He's just a kid who goes to school, but when his contest comes up to find golden tickets, he wants it more than anyone. But he doesn't have as much luck as the other kids. I mean, one of the other kids, her dad runs a peanut factory, and his employers are unwrapping the candy just so he can give his daughter the golden ticket. But when it comes to Charlie Bucket, he has these big dreams, and his mom is very supportive of him, but she believes that he has as much chance as anyone in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's only 5 golden tickets, but there's like 7 billion people in the world, so he has just he has basically a microscopic chance of getting a golden ticket.
And what about the other kids who was playing?
Oh yes, you have the 4 other kids who are all brats. You have you have Augustus Gloop, who basically eats anything he wants. You have the ultimate spoiled brat, Veruca Salt, who has her dad wrapped around her little finger. Mm-hmm. You have the show-off Violet Beauregard, who basically has so much pride because she's a world record gum chewer. But then you have Mike TV, who's basically the ultimate TV addict. He won't even eat at the dinner table because he just watches TV all the time. Uh-huh. Now, when it comes to these 4 kids, they end up getting consequences because of their falling for temptations in the factory, but if anything, it teaches them a very valuable lesson, and hopefully, in the end, it really makes them grow.
Yeah. And then, of course, we can't forget about Grandpa.
Yep. Grandpa Joe, played by the guy who beat Gene Wilder for the Oscar, Jack Albertson. Mm-hmm. And I know there are a lot of people that hate the character because they...
Enabler.
Yeah. But hear me out. It's a fantasy story. In the original story, he was bedridden for 20 years. Next thing you know, his grandson finds the golden ticket, and he just jumps out of the bed like it was nothing. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm with you. I'm with you there, Chris, because I don't understand the hate for Grandpa Joe, but because I really do sincerely like the character quite a lot. Yeah. Because he's a bit senile, a bit older, and also a bit hesitant about things. And of course, when he is subject to temptation, knowing that illustrating that temptation shows no bounds for at any age.
Yes, I mean, and then during the first half, you have this whole bunch of crazy characters that are basically wanting to get the golden ticket for themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have this woman whose husband is being held hostage just because he wants Wonka bars in exchange for her husband's safety, and she's even questioning whether she wants to give them away or not. And I'm like, what?
This was before the internet. Not many people had much better to do, so something like this, people get a little stir crazy. If you ever want to see how much havoc can there be, you know what? This is coming out right after Black Friday. Go on YouTube and look at some old Black Friday rushes from the 80s and 90s. So for that level of havoc to be had for over chocolate bars for a golden ticket, I can believe it. I can believe it.
I mean, you see the pandemonium. You see how much everyone is willing to do just so they can grab just 5 golden tickets in the whole world. Even one of them fakes it. Mm-hmm.
It was a bad fake. Really bad.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the production design because, my God, the Chocolate Factory is one of the most magical film sets ever. Mm-hmm. It's right up there with, like, the Munchkin City and the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
Or any other great fantasy film set. Like, I mean, it's just... The Chocolate Room still makes my mouth water to this day. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's basically like the ultimate fantasy land outside of Disneyland.
Yeah, there are very few that kind of even come close to that. And And then, of course, we gotta talk about some of the scenes as well. Like,
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you have
so the sets were immaculate.
courtesy of art director Harper Goff, who had worked in other films like Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the sci-fi classic Fantastic Voyage. He should have gotten an Oscar nomination for this. He was robbed big time of a nomination.
I agree, because all the sets were just immaculate. A lot of the art design was fantastic.
I mean, you have this magical chocolate room that's just an eye opener. Then you have the inventing room, which is compared to a Turkish bath.
Don't forget the boat.
Oh yes, the Wonkatania. Now, when it comes to this film does have some stuff that may get your kids a little creeped out. And when it comes to the boat scene, it is basically the ultimate. It's the closest thing to a kid's version of an acid trip.
Yeah, I agree.
And it is, I mean, when it comes to Gene Wilder in the scene alone, the way he was singing that song, the cast members actually believed that he was going insane. They were that scared. And he nails it.
He does. You know, going back to one of the original things that we were talking about, which was the versatility. There are times where he knows how to put on a very, very serious scene and a very. You can see that you can see a lot of his range in this film as well, from serious, dramatic, and big and loud to very timid as well.
Yeah.
And like in the ending scene, I won't spoil the ending scene too terribly much, but what I'll say about this is that the ending scene was basically the only scene where only Gene Wilder knew what was going to happen, because
you can see how. I mean, yeah.
Because the thing, spoiler alert, a little.
Well,
bit.
let's not.
Well, bear with me. You know, let me cook. Most of the scenes that were completely going in blind, except for two cast members. You know, and that's of course Willy Wonka and Charlie Bucket, because he was also the main protagonist of this movie. He also needed to look at the script and know kind of what was going on. But in the ending scene, he did. So his look of fear during the outburst was actually genuine as well.
Yeah.
And it again goes to show that, you know, when the film was being produced, the whole thing was they wanted to capture the raw emotions of what was going on.
And the one thing I noticed about the story too, I mean, in the original book, Charlie has both a mom and a dad. In this movie, he only has his mother.
Which is a little bit, yeah.
Which adds more because, if anything, maybe he sees Willy Wonka as this possible father figure.
Of course, yeah.
But that outburst would basically
shatter that a little bit.
Yeah. But what also makes it good is the fact that while he is given the temptation to maybe do something that's that
isn't that nice,
he is willing to suck it up and just
accept the consequences.
Yes.
And does so gracefully.
And in the end, it earns him the biggest reward possible, which I'm not saying.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the music, I mean, this is a musical, and some of the songs are still being sung to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have the Candyman, which was actually so popular that Sammy Davis Jr. did a single of it and ended up getting a Grammy nomination.
It was also featured on Malcolm in the Middle in the early 2000s.
And then you have the classic Oompa Loompas with the orange face, the green hair, telling about the morals of what happens when each of the kids get their just desserts.
Desserts! Sorry.
Yeah. But the songs are just so, I mean, Pure Imagination is just such a magical song.
I will still sing that song to myself sometimes.
You and me both. I mean...
But I also add in my own lyrics to make it way more darker. Don't ask.
Now, when it comes to, I mean, it's been parodied so many times. I distinctly remember one time when they did a parody of it in Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
And now this movie, Now when it comes to the songs, they were written by Leslie Brookus and Anthony Newley. Leslie Brookus we had discussed a few episodes ago because he did the music for the Christmas movie Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
The score was done by Walter Sharp, and it just gives that sense of pure whimsical bliss.
Yeah.
And it ended up earning the film its only Oscar nomination. It was nominated for Best Musical Score, but it lost to John Williams for his score of Fiddler on the Roof. Now, additionally, Gene Wilder was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor, but he lost to Chaim Topol for Fiddler on the Roof. So it has some pretty tough competition that year.
Yeah,
But the thing is, the movie didn't even break even at the box office. But it wasn't until it started airing on TV that it started getting the reputation that it has today.
Yeah, developed a massive cult following, not to mention spawned 2 additional movies. We already talked about the Tim Burton one.
And just 2 years ago, Timothy Chalamet was in like a spiritual prequel to the story. I thought he did a pretty good job.
Fantastic. Love the hat.
Yeah. And when it comes to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it is still an iconic family movie. It's like one of the greatest ever made. It's up there with like The Wizard of Oz, Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm. And it's super easy to get a hold of. Like, you can get a hold of it on any number of streaming services.
Or DVD or Blu-ray.
Or a VHS if you happen to have one of those kicking around the mothball still.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies that you have to watch at least once with your kids.
Yes. I would recommend every kid watch this movie once. I know I watched it. Funny story. A little bit of an anecdote. Back when I was in grade school, we were in, when Charlie the Chocolate Factory first came out, right? So of course we were all begging for the movie to watch in class if we were doing good. Because at the end of the semester, the teacher, if you were on good behavior and you guys were doing good, you would get a movie. And we did. And we wanted Charlie the Chocolate Factory. Bit of an act, but the teacher got the wires crossed because she didn't know there was a new one. So we ended up watching the original Willy Wonka version instead.
Well, I can tell you, when it comes to Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, he was my inspiration. I even got to perform as Willy Wonka in a stage adaptation back in 2009 while I was in high school. And I still remember getting the call that I got the title role, and I just felt pure joy.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I remember wearing the top hat. I still have the bamboo cane that I use to this day as a memento.
Should have brought it. Why didn't you bring it?
I know I should.
You should have brought it. Oh well.
It's just one of those moments where it's just one of those movies that just makes you feel so good. I practically have this film implanted in my head.
Oh yeah, I could tell. I think it goes without saying what Chris is going to be rating it.
I am giving it a solid 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of the greatest family films ever.
I prefer the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory version, but I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I prefer the newer Tim Burton one. I'm a Tim Burton fan.
It is more faithful to the original book.
I think some of the special effects in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a little dated, but I think that it still to this day holds up very well.
Yes.
Considering the movie's 50 years old.
It'll be 55 next year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was our take of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now for our next film, we are doing a big 180 from a G-rated film to an R-rated film.
Again.
And this is another Mel Brooks film, and it's considered one of his greatest.
It's also considered one of Gene Wilder's greatest films as well.
Yes. I am talking about the classic Western comedy Blazing Saddles. An African American is chosen to be a sheriff of an old Western town, but despite the discrimination of that time, with the help of a friend, he is able to actually take down some dangerous criminal. But he finds himself in a bigger situation when he finds out that someone wants to tear down the old town and build a railroad through it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is basically the ultimate Western satire.
It really is. And the cast. Let's go right to the cast, because I want to talk about the cast.
Yeah, I mean, you have Gene Wilder with Cleveland Little.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Little is the sheriff Bart, and he's basically the instantly called out for the moment he comes into that town. They're like, "Wait,
You black.
get him!"
No, but remember, 1870s. Keep that in mind, I don't even. The Emancipation Proclamation was what 15 years ago in this one at the setting of this film.
Yeah.
Not even. So it's like the attitude towards the African American community back then was not great.
That is, yeah.
And they really, really played into it, but
after capturing a criminal, they start to give him a little more respect.
they do give him a little bit more respect, and throughout the movie, he earns more and more of it.
Yeah.
And he also uses his, he breaks a lot of the stigma too by, he plays into a lot of the stigmas, but also is, down to earth, has an incredible wit, almost Looney Tunes style wit,
Yeah. And then you have Gene Wilder as
the world's fastest draw.
yeah, and he's when we first meet him, he's basically drunk.
He's a basic. You would think that he was the town drunk more than anything.
Yeah, but but the moment he and Bart get together, they become a dynamic duo.
It's mainly because they've both been around a little bit, It even says, like, what's a civilized person like you doing here?
Yeah.
Like out in the weeds.
Yeah. And then you have Harvey Korman as the
villain.
Yeah.
He's basically the lieutenant governor.
Yeah, he wants to tear down the town so that way he could build a railroad through it, which would give him more money. And Harvey Korman thinks that he'll get an Oscar nomination for this. Spoiler, he didn't.
And then, of course, as the governor of the state, we don't know which one, probably Utah.
You have Mel Brooks himself in a cameo.
Yeah, just what a superstar cast that is.
Mel Brooks even does another cameo as a Jewish Indian chief, which is completely out of nowhere.
Then again, a lot of the people. Okay, there's this one scene where. There's this one scene in the movie where they're just before the final battle, where they're starting to recruit all the bad guys, right? And there is a lot of people that are out of place for that line. I think there's there's biker gang people. There's the KKK. There were Nazis. There's just a whole smattering of people for some reason.
I mean, this is just pure satire at its peak.
It really is, and we won't even talk. I'm not even gonna touch the ending.
Neither am I, because it'll just.
Yeah, it's good. All I'm gonna say is Monty Python-esque. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the only other movie I've ever seen that breaks that level of fourth wall is a Monty Python film. Perhaps if you guys want to do a Monty Python episode, comment in the YouTube description and help me convince this one that we do a Monty Python episode.
Well, I do like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I like Life of Brian.
Yeah, well, that's a little too extreme in my taste. Now,
We're talking about Blazing Saddles, and you think that Life of Brian's too extreme. There have been so many movies. I'm not even going to touch this.
now when it comes to other cast members, I mean, you have Madeline Kahn as the German singer who tries to seduce Bart,
But ends up being the one seduced.
yeah, and it actually, even though she was only in the movie for a couple of minutes, she was so good it ended up earning her an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, when it comes to production, I mean, it's basically Old West at its peak.
They built two versions of the town in that movie.
Yes.
What I really like about the attention to detail for the first 2/3 of the movie in terms of what kind of a Western this is really good. Like, even Harvey's role screams cynical. Like it screams Wild Wild West villain.
I mean, and this was basically when he was still at his peak in the Carol Burnett show.
Oh yeah, and it shows. It really does. It's basically the entire cast was firing on all cylinders at this time. Gene Wilder was at his peak. Harvey was at his peak. Mel Brooks was at his peak. Everybody.
And when it comes to Blazing Saddles, it came out the same year as Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, so this was a killer year for a lot of different folk in this movie.
Yeah, and when it comes to, and like I said, Harvey Korman thought he'd get an Oscar nomination for this.
Oh, he said that as a third. I don't think he genuinely thought that. I think it was more improvisation than anything. Because you have all these comedians that are making this silly, just silly film. And you gotta imagine that there was some level of improvisation here. Because all the synonyms he used as well, that were more and more ludicrous and more complexing and perplexing.
Well, if anything, I doubt he'd be able to win. I mean, that was the same year as Robert De Niro in The Godfather Part 2.
Right. But even then, like, it was... you can't help but like laugh at the movie.
Yeah.
Throughout the film,
and you also have original songs for this film too, which was also written by Mel Brooks.
And fantastic.
You have the title song, the song Madeline Kahn's song "I'm Tired," and then you have the song where the church congregation sings about their town and how it's completely being vandalized by bandits, and they are basically living in a very bad situation.
Speaking of which, again, this goes without saying, there's a lot of naughty words in this movie. There's a lot of naughty words. Do not let your kids watch this, because it was a little jarring to hear that, especially with the old lady. The old lady. Can we talk about the old lady? Oh, she's my favorite side character.
I mean, she just says that one word out of the blue.
No. She said up yours before it. She said 3 words out of the blue. But I think, the introduction to her, with her getting beaten up in the streets, old lady getting beaten up, it's it's just, she did a fantastic job in that one.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the later scene, you have them actually set up a second town as a decoy.
It's just fantastic. Throughout the whole movie, I was just laughing and laughing. I think when it comes to a comedy, I'd say that this is probably now my top 3, at least, because it's a very, very funny film.
Dare I ask what the other 2 are?
We'll have to do an episode about those.
Let me guess, one of them is Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Because I know we reviewed that one.
Yeah, Caddyshack is up there. I do like Caddyshack. Actually, I like the Caddyshack 2. Caddyshack 2 is better in my book.
No comment. Now, when it comes to this film, it was a hit at the box office when it came out, and it ended up earning 3 Oscar nominations. Best Supporting Actress, Madeline Kahn, Best Original Song for the title song, and Best Film Editing, which was pretty good, too.
It was very good. Again, I'd argue, because here's the thing, it was the 70s, so you've got the battle of the sci-fis and the westerns happening at this time. And right now, Western, the great battle of Western versus sci-fi in the 70s and early 80s. So this was peak Western material.
Yeah.
In every sense of the way. And it holds up. As a Western film, just a standalone Western film, it really holds up. It's also very good at deconstructing racism a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I think that was even groundbreaking for that time.
It was. It was a very groundbreaking film in terms of deconstructing racism because, again, this is the 70s. Okay, 1870s, 15 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. 1970s, civil rights was just at its end. Civil rights was just being implemented in the 60s, 10 years prior.
Yeah.
So, racial tensions in America were still incredibly high. So to have an African American be a lead role, but also to have, it really broke they broke some racial barriers.
I mean,
having an interracial scene.
I mean, heck, even when it comes to this movie, the script wasn't written by just Mel Brooks. He had 4 other writers, including Richard Pryor.
Yeah. So it was just, in a lot of ways, a really groundbreaking film.
Yeah.
And I think it still holds up. I do. It holds up.
Yeah, well, If anything, I'm going to give this movie 4 out of 5 stars.
This is rare for me. I'm giving it a 5. I don't give... How many 5s have I given? I think I gave Scrooge, that one Scrooge movie, a 5, I think.
Well, what about Metropolis?
I think I gave that... Did I give that one a 5? I may have given that one a 4.5. I don't remember. I don't give many films a 5 out of 5. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, if anything, I also know that this was within the top 10... When it came to the American Film Institute, this made like the top 10 greatest films, comedy films ever.
I agree. I do. I agree. In fact, for this series, this is going to be a sin. This is the first time I actually watched it.
Me
movie,
too.
And I was laughing the whole time. It was great. You know, my partner said, was like, why haven't you seen it yet? And even my mom was like, you haven't seen it yet? And I could see why they were both like pushing me to watch it for so many years. I'm glad I did. I will watch it again.
Oh yeah. So that was Blazing Saddles. Now for our last film, we're jumping to 1984 with one of Gene Wilder's lesser-known films, but it has like one of the most iconic soundtracks of the 80s.
Yeah.
Now this film is a rom-com, which Gene Wilder not only acted in, but he also directed and wrote the script. It was actually adapted from a French film.
Mm-hmm.
Now this film was really crazy.
It was. I would say that, although not the best film in my opinion, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I am talking about The Woman in Red. In San Francisco, a married man is having a midlife crisis and starts being attracted to a woman who he has never met before, but is to be a poster girl for his company. Mm-hmm. And anything that can go wrong does go wrong when it comes to trying to find her and maybe even trying to commit adultery.
Yeah. I'd say that this is Do Not Commit Adultery, the movie.
That I agree with because...
Oh, there's so much adultery in this movie.
I agree. Now, when it comes to this film, it's not Gene Wilder's best, but I can get why he wanted to do this.
I get it too, and to be fair, his performance was fantastic. There is certainly some sprinkles of comedy.
Yeah, he is this guy. You have this guy who is basically having a midlife crisis. When we first see him, he's literally standing on the side, outside of a building balcony, and the whole film is a flashback about how he came to this moment.
A very common movie trope in the day. There was a lot of movies, even all the way up to even Sonic the Hedgehog, that got to that point. It's a very common movie trope, and I think this is an instance where the trope is done very well.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the cast. I mean, you have Gene Wilder. He's this guy who's basically, he wants excitement. Mm-hmm. Next you know, he meets this girl out of nowhere, played by Kelly LeBrock, who, when he first sees her, she's having a Marilyn Monroe moment with her dress over an air vent, and you can just tell he is instantly smitten by her.
Oh yeah, even so much as to do the scene himself.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very funny in the trench coat, where it kind of just puffed up a little when he's standing right there, I bet.
And then you have his wife, who is herself not as pure as he is.
No.
But you can tell that she wants as much excitement as he does. You also have other characters like that one secretary, played by Gene Wilder's future wife, Gilda Radner.
Mm-hmm.
And this film is also all about miscommunication, because when she picks up the phone and he thinks he's wanting to talk to the woman, the girl he saw in the garage, but she thinks that he's talking to him for a date. Next you know, he doesn't show up, and she is out for revenge.
Who can blame her?
Yeah, I mean, you have this whole scene of her literally scratching his car with her neck, and ending up bending his antenna.
And in some cultures, that's considered. In some cultures, that's a death threat.
I mean, when he spurns her, he actually puts his car in gear when he's in the back, and he is rolling down a hill. Mm-hmm. he can't stop it, and it's just, she is a woman you do not want to spurn.
No.
The cold shoulder too.
No. You shouldn't just do that. Don't do that in general. Don't do that in general. This whole movie, just don't do it in general. Consent is key.
Yeah.
And with any relationship, consent is key in those sort of circumstances.
And honesty too, because none of them are honest with each other.
No one's honest, and everyone's getting punished.
I mean, you have this one guy, one of the main character's friends. His wife leaves him, and he's basically
alone, empty house, tearing apart the kitchen cabinets.
And then you have other friends too. Like you have this one guy who pretends to be blind in a restaurant with one of his friends who happens to be gay, which considering it's the 80s, it was kind of crazy, especially since this is when the AIDS epidemic was starting to come
Really
up.
ramp up, yeah.
I'll be honest, that whole scene with him just whacking that cane around in the restaurant was honestly I thought it was the funniest scene in the movie. It got me a few good laughs.
Yeah, there is some good points in the movie, but overall, I would say that due to the subject matters of the film, of it being adultery, the film, and why you shouldn't, it's also a reason why you shouldn't watch the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, like the soundtrack,
courtesy,
fantastic.
Yep, courtesy of Stevie Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And the soundtrack ended up, if I recall, it ended up getting platinum.
Yeah, like, listen, viewers, if you want to get here's the thing. I would argue that you should not watch the movie.
If anything, the soundtrack saves it.
Yes,
from
it
being
does.
A total disaster.
It does. It genuinely does. In fact, I would argue that, really, if you want to experience anything to do with this film, get the soundtrack.
I mean, you have Dionne Warwick singing the title song. You have Stevie Wonder doing some very iconic songs, including the song that actually earned him both an Oscar and a Golden Globe, I Just Called to Say I Love You.
Yeah.
This was the only Oscar that the film won. It was for Best Song. It ended up beating both title songs of Footloose and Ghostbusters.
Hard to believe. Footloose I can believe because, but Ghostbusters? Come on.
I mean, Stevie Wonder was even nominated for a Grammy for that song.
Well deserved. It really is well deserved in my opinion. I don't think Ghostbusters good. I don't think it's Gangbusters Ghostbusters good, but it is really good. I'd say that it's
one of those 90s love songs that you have to hear at least once. I'm pretty sure you've heard it a lot on like oldies radio.
I mean, I would argue that. Well, I mean, this movie came out in the late '80s, early '90s,
mid '80s,
and there isn't that many movies I'd say from the '80s that had as good a soundtrack. Ghostbusters is good. That's good. Labyrinth was another good one. I really like the Labyrinth soundtrack. If you want to go back and watch that episode.
Yeah, well.
But I'd say that this one's better than. I'd say this one's way better than Labyrinth.
Now, when it comes to the production, I mean, you have these beautiful on-set locations of San Francisco.
Oh, yes. Fantastic shots.
Yeah, and it just really adds that feeling of, it's just San Francisco in the mid-'80s when it was still very...
Very rapidly growing.
Yes.
It was very much a rapidly growing. And I just say the suburbia scenes make it feel like an upper middle class or even upper class suburbia life too, you know.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder, living the recreational lifestyle during this midlife crisis, going, wrestling the schedule of his teenage kids, also wrestling, tennis, and all that.
Also ending up trying to ride a horse just to impress the girl.
Yeah, so it very much has the luxuries of living in upper middle class America.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like the scenes with him and the horse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But when it comes to this film, the subject matter is basically very low-key.
It is. I would say that out of all the movies we've done today, this one's going to get the lowest rating from me.
Me too.
I'm going to give it maybe a...
If I recall, I think this was a success at the box office when it came out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, probably because of the soundtrack. You said yourself that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Stevie Wonder won an Oscar, a Golden Globe.
What else did it win?
Well, I don't know exactly.
It didn't win much else. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But the fact that it beat both Footloose and Ghostbusters for Best Song.
It's honestly, it's understandable. That's how good the song is.
Yeah.
It's really catchy.
Yeah. But if anything, I'm going to give this movie, honestly, 3 out of 5 stars.
Same. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. Most of that 3 is coming from the soundtrack.
Same with me. I mean, when it comes to subject matter, it's not a good rom-com, especially if you're in a relationship.
No.
If you're a single guy like me, then it's okay, but...
Yeah, and, you know, with my relationship status, some will say it's relatable to my relationship status, but it's also, like, mine's consensual, so...
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Gene Wilder, it was after the 80s, he started to not do as much film roles.
No.
One of his last film roles was in a TV movie adaptation of Alice in Wonderland, which featured a really big cast, like Whoopi Goldberg, Ben Kingsley, Peter Ustinov, Martin Short.
It wouldn't be revealed of the reasons why he slowed down a lot in cinema until the early to mid-2000s, when it was revealed that he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
I lost one of my grandmas to that, God rest her.
Yeah,
and sadly, Gene Wilder ended up dying in 2016 at the age of 83, but his legacy still goes on to this day.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and to be perfectly clear, like, there were several interviews he did later in life and, like, all the way into the 2000s. And I still remember on this one particular late night show, one of the late night interviewers asked him if he was ever happy with his life, you know, slowing down and everything like that. And he did say that he was very happy. So I'd like to think that the Candyman is still singing and dancing and doing everything.
All I can say is, God rest him.
Yes, I think he's still living it quite loud and large and still having a laugh.
Yeah, I bet he's having a great time up there.
Yes.
So that was our look of the one and only Gene Wilder, and this ends season 2 of Chris's Classic Cinema. Come season 3, who knows what we're going to be reviewing. But I do know that for our first season premiere, we're going to be looking at some rather unorthodox films that just happen to take place around the holidays.
Yeah, I finally convinced him that I didn't want to do Christmas movies on Christmas, so instead we're doing non-Christmas Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And
all of them happen to be from the 80s.
Happy coincidence.
Yeah. So until then, I'm Chris Wyatt.
And I'm Jayden Sparks.
And thanks for watching this episode of Chris's Classic Cinema. Hope to see you next season.